Arkan, Shalom, Shalom, Israel, Shalom. To the Torah tribes, Yash Allah. Giving the chorus all honor, glory, and praise. Unto Yahweh, by Shema Mashah, Malak Yahweh Shah. It's all praises, honor, and glorification unto the Most High God, Yahweh. In the name of His only God, Yahweh Shah. This is Brother Yash Allah.
Servant of Yahushua.
Khan. Coming back to y'all yet another video through the Spirit by Yahweh. By Shema Mashah, Malak Yahweh Shah. Well, Lord willing, this video is going to be edifying, and Lord willing, all Israel is having a beautiful, beautiful blessed Shabbat through the Spirit. Through the Spirit and power Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shah, man. Right? So, and all, of course, his brother to the right of me, right? Wait, can you hear me? Or is it
Can I hear you?
everything straight? All right, gone. All right. So the brother to the right of me been doing these videos, man, for down there like over down there 2 years, right? Yeah, down there 2 years now, right? So this brother's always been faithful, hopping onto the lives, all praise to the Most High, right? And he has YouTube as well as Instagram, right? That's W5 Atlanta, and you got W5 Bay Area over here, all right? So kind of all praise to the Most High. So we be getting straight into it, right? So we've been doing the series for the past few videos. We've been doing a series. It's called That's in the Bible. So basically, this topic we're going to be discussing through the Spirit is a polygamy, or a like a polygyny in specific, because polygamy is a man having multiple women and a woman having multiple men, either or the or. Now we know that a woman having multiple husbands, that's that's off, right? That's off. But a man in the Bible can actually have multiple wives, not multiple women or baby mamas. Remember, we say the Bible says multiple wives, all right? And there's a difference between having a baby mama and a damn girlfriend or a damn side chick, right? Like, the Lord's not dealing with that. The Lord is dealing with wives, all right? So a wife or a wife, wives. Same thing with you women, right? The Lord's not dealing with the side dude or the dude on the low, right? You got this dude right here. That's your main. You got two other dudes on the low key. You kind of hit them up when you're burning in your lust, right? Or you're trying to cut him off, but he's just in love with you and he wants to be with you. He's like, hey, I hate that dude that you're with. Hey, just leave him. This, that, and the third. Let me be with you one more time. Let me, hey, that's how Jake is in the world. You know, that's how Jake is in the world. So the Lord's not dealing with any of that, man. That's madness. All right. So we be going into polygyny in specific. All right. Polygyny. Let's pull up the definition real quick. All right. Polygyny. All right. Remember, that's the difference, Israel. All right. Don't be like the Bible supports polygamy, because there's a difference between that. All right. Polygyny.
Polygyny.
All right. Polygyny is polygamy in which a man has more than one wife. All right. When a man has more than one wife. So this is an actual thing that men are permitted, Israelite men are permitted to have in the scriptures, man. Right. Now, that doesn't mean that you have to have multiple wives. Brothers hearing it now. Oh, shoot, that means I gotta have more than one wife. Damn, man. I can't even deal with this one. Nah, it's up to you, right? It's up to you. And it's really up to what the Lord has blessed you with, right? Because remember, having multiple wives means more children from the get. It means more children, right? More children, more responsibility, right? And you got to be making some money, man, because the Lord, and we're about to get into all that, right? We're about to get into all that through the Spirit, but multiple wives doesn't just mean that, I could just kick back and relax. My wives are doing everything for me. They're going to work. They're doing the cooking. They're doing everything. They fixing up the house. All right, that's madness. You on the couch. You got one wife, massaging your back. You got the other wife massaging your feet, and you got the other wife feeding you Cheetos, while the other wife is damn going to work. That's hey man, that's madness, right? You still have to provide for your household, right? And even much more so, if you have more than one wife, right? Because we about to get into that, right? But nevertheless, right, I want to explain something first, right? Now, when we say wife, the when we say wife, or when the Bible says wife, what is marriage according to the Bible? Because that's what we have to understand first, right? That's what we have to understand first. So I'll let the brother get in there real quick. I'll let the brother get his first, get the first precept on basically, you know what I'm saying, marriage. All right. What does it mean to have a wife? All right. Does it mean if I hug this girl, all right, that's my wife now? All right. So now you have to go back to that girl that you hugged in fifth grade and say, right, hey, listen, I know that's kind of funny, but you're my wife because I hugged you that one day. And I remember that day because that was a big day for me because I hugged you in fifth grade. Like, what does it mean to have a wife? By hey, pull that precept, okay, or pull the precept. You got it.
So like, feel it, man. Already trying to bug around. Con. First, before I get that real quick, I do want to get this real quick. First
Done.
Corinthians chapter and verse 23. All things are lawful for me, but all things are not expedient. All things are lawful for me, but all things edify not. So, like the brother saying, yeah, you can have multiple wives according to the Bible, which we're about to go through, but everything is not expedient. I mean, it's not necessary for you to have 10 wives. You have no job. You have no job. You can't provide. You're getting kicked out your house because you haven't paid your mortgage or your rent. You got 11 homeless people on the side of the streets, man. You got 10 wives and yourself on the side of the streets, and all of them pregnant. You have no job. These
Right.
things are nice, man. Especially not in the land of your captivity, you know. But the reason why we're about to go into this to show brothers, hey, look, multiple wives is in the Bible. There's nothing wrong with that for men to have multiple wives, man. Right? I want to kick it off real quick, for the brethren, real quick. We're going to touch on what the brother said. Sex, is marriage. That's what we first want to touch on. Then we're going to do multiple wives. Correct, King? Or
Gone.
so when you dealing with the woman, like the brother said, when you hold hands, you kissing and stuff like that, or you put the ring on it, that's not actual marriage. Your marriage is when you go into a female and her hymen breaks on a rod and that blood spills on his rod, man. The same way how we was espoused to the Lord and Moses sprinkled the blood upon the congregation of Israel, that's when we was married to the Lord. When you have a covenant with something, it always involves blood. That's why the burnt offerings, the sacrifices, it involves blood, man. Right? So this is the book of Leviticus, chapter 21, and verse 13. And it reads, and he shall take a wife and her virginity, man. So it's chiefly important for you to take a wife and her virginity. Why? Because when she's a virgin, she hasn't dealt with no man. So when you go in unto her, again, like I said before, thy hymen will break on you, man. Showing you that sex is marriage. I got a few more precepts real quick, King. So link it up. All right, let's go to
Look.
Deuteronomy real quick. Can you hear me okay? Where's it
Gone.
laggy? Come on,
Gone.
first.
It's all good.
Come. This book of Deuteronomy, chapter 22, and verse 13. And it reads, if any man take a wife and go in unto her and hate her. So you have man back in the ancient world. Your Jake does this now, probably, man. Well, not really now, but back then in the ancient world, you would have men that would take a wife and her virginity and go in unto her. Now over time, they will hate her, man. Right? Verse 14. And give occasions of speech against her, and bring up an evil name upon her, and say, I took this woman, and when I came to her, I found her not a maid. Because back then you could put away a wife for anything back then. That's not Iraq. You could put away a wife because she don't know how to cook. You could put away a wife for not knowing how to sew. Back then you could put away a wife because for this, that, and the third back then, man. But guess what? It says, I'm gonna read it again, and give occasions of speech against her, and bring up an evil name upon her, and say, I took this woman when I made. So this man's coming up with a false accusation against this woman when he went unto her, meaning he didn't find her a virgin. She wasn't a virgin. She didn't have that blood spilled upon his rod. I'm gonna keep going. Verse 15. Then shall the father of the damsel and her mother take and bring forth the tokens of the damsel's virginity unto the elders of the city in the gate. Now, what's the tokens of her virginity? They will have a what's called a blanket, a sheet, like a white sheet, And that token of her virginity is that blood. Again, like I keep saying, her hymen breaking and that blood's being upon the what's it called, that sheet. Because it's going to be a lot of blood. If I'm not mistaken, that blood going to be upon all the sheet, and the father and the mother would keep that sheet to say, look, this is a sign, it's a token to show you that, look, she was a virgin. And okay, if she's not a virgin, she won't bleed, huh? Right? But if she is, she will bleed. I'm gonna keep going. Verse, I'm gonna read verse 15 again. This is laying down a foundation. Verse 15. Then shall a father of the damsel and her mother take and bring forth the tokens of the damsel's virginity unto the elders of the city in the gate. And the damsel's father shall say unto the elders, I gave my daughter unto this man to wife, and he hateth her, and lo, he hath given occasions of speech against her, saying, I found not thy daughter a maid, and yet these are the tokens of my daughter's virginity, and they shall spread the cloth before the elders of the city. And like I said before, what's on that cloth? That cloth is that blood. Because when you go into a woman, chiefly, you want to take a virgin, man. You don't want a woman, you don't want females that has 30 bodies, man. Like it's nothing, 40 bodies. All right, nowadays, getting popped in college, high school, middle school, elementary, K-12, hey, K, man, madness, man. Like it's serious. You have them doing the nasty, man, in kindergarten, first grade, all these different things, trying to do it, man. Right? And it's sad for real, but we wasn't doing that back then. We had order, we had structure, and things of that nature. I'm gonna get one more precept. All right. This is the book of Exodus. You have mothers sell out their daughters at a very young age to get popped by their stepdad or something like that, man. All right. That would ruin their whole life. But to tie everything up, I want to go to Exodus chapter 24. Exodus chapter 24, verse 7, and he reads, and he took the book of the covenant. Like I always says, when you have a covenant present with the Most High, there's always some type of blood involved, man. Right? And it reads, and read in the audience of the people, and they said, all that the Lord hath said we would do, and be obedient. And Moses took the blood and sprinkled it on the people, and said, behold, the blood of the covenant which the Lord hath made with you concerning all these words. You see that? So the same way how Moses sprinkled the blood upon us, upon the nation of Israel, because the Lord is our husband, referring to Jeremiah 31 and verse 31 and verse 32, right? He's our husband and things of that nature. We're the woman, Jeremiah 6 and verse 2, who is married unto him. That's that blood of the covenant. Same way how the Lord get the female, that hymen, for lack of better terms, to break. Why does a woman have that? It's spiritual. It has a significance to it, because when a man goes into you and marry you, which is marriage, sex is marriage, that covenant, that blood of the covenant breaks on his rod, because you are now espoused and are now one flesh. But Khan, you got the king, Salakia.
Khan, just like how the brother said, y'all are now one flesh. So, and Khan, just like how the brother's beautifully breaking down, you have that covenant of blood, right? You have the covenant of blood, because that there's a covenant between a man and his wife, right? Between a husband and a wife, there's a covenant made. That's why a lot of our people, that's why the Lord said, right? That's why it's wicked if you you lay with all different types of men. That's why the Lord said it's off, because you're defiling the contract, right, that you made with that first man. You know what I'm saying? Well, let's go to Jeremiah chapter 13, verse 27. I have seen thine adulteries and thy names and the lewdness of thy whoredom. So the Lord said he's taking mark of that. You a damn whore, the Lord's taking mark of that, right? And it says, and thine abominations on the hills and the fields. Hey, what do people do in the hills and the fields, man? Right in the damn field where nobody's at, freaking off, bro. Right? In the darkness, in the houses, in the clubs, etc. Right? But it says, woe unto thee, O Jerusalem, wilt thou not be made clean? When shall it once be? So we're not clean if we're dabbling into adultery. But I'm gonna get this precept real quick, right? I'm gonna share my screen. This is evidently clear. Exodus chapter 22 and verse 16. And if a man entice a maid that is not betrothed, so a man enticing a maid that is not betrothed, meaning she's not promised to any man, so she's free, she's open, she not dealing with any man, she's not promised to any man. A man entices this maid, this young woman, right? Not entice meaning, hey, he spit some game, for lack of better terms. He gets her with the smooth words, right? That is not betrothed and lie with her, meaning, of course, they have sex, right? He shall and surely endow her to be his wife. You see that? Why? Because he has to pay the dowry of virgins, right? If her father utterly refused to give her unto him, he shall pay money according to the dowry of virgins, right? Now it's about the father, because just like how the brother said, we had order and structure in the ancient world, right? The fathers will give off their daughters to the other sons, right? To other Israelites, right? To other Israelite young men, you know. Arranged marriages would happen sometimes, but this is in the chance that that arranged marriage doesn't really happen, and a man and a young woman kind of come together, and they become married. Why? Through the action of sex, right? So let's go to the book also, Genesis, right? Genesis chapter 24 and verse, I want to say 60, kind of 67. And Isaac brought her into his mother Sarah's tent. It's like into his mother Sarah's tent. And took Rebekah, and she became his wife, and he loved her. And Isaac was comforted after his mother's death. So what does that mean? He took Sarah. It's like he took Rebekah, and she became his wife. What did they do in the tent? What did they do in the tent, man? Was they just they had a whole marriage ceremony in the tent? It was just them. Just had a whole marriage ceremony, and then you had the angel come down and say, you may kiss the bride. Then when they kiss, now they're married. Or did he propose onto her? So Isaac, he proposed onto Rebekah. Not they did it in the tent. All right. They laid down with each other in the tent. Right. And she became his wife. So that's in the scripture, man. That's in the scripture. So that's what it means to have a wife. All right. So all this madness I be hearing at work, talking about, the damn, what I hear, it's like, oh yeah, basically, I'm not gonna say the name and stuff, but one of my coworkers is like, damn, she was like, why is she called him boyfriend? Why my boyfriend talking about getting married? We're not gonna get married, right? You're not this, that, and the third. We're not gonna get married. And she's dead pregnant, man. She's pregnant, right? Talking about we're not going to get married. You guys already are married in the eyes of the Lord, man. But that's because, what I'm saying, we're not reading these scriptures, right? We're not reading these scriptures and understanding them. It's not being taught to us. They say fornication, right? Because when we look up the word, it's like the word fornication on Google. What it's going to say is sex before marriage, right? Now I'm gonna pull it up, right? It says sexual intercourse between people not married to each other. Is that in the Bible, bro? Is that in the Bible? Is there any precept that says that fornication is sexual intercourse between two people that's not married to each other? So then that means that in the law, Exodus 22:16, that you'd be going off. That man went off. Or that Isaac and Rebekah went off because they were not married to each other, but they still had sex. No, sex is marriage. That's what we're trying to prove here. And that's what the scripture is saying, man. Right? So with that established, you have any other precepts or point on that, King?
Wow, you got it, King.
All right, Khan. So with that established, that's what marriage is. That's how you have a wife, all right? By laying down with her. All right. So that would be your wife, man. You can't be like just hit it and go. Hey, that's off, man. Right? So boom, there's that, right? Now, the second part, going into men, accounts of men, or men, literally in the scriptures, devout men, righteous men, judges, kings, all right? Men that had multiple women in the scriptures, multiple wives in the scriptures, and we're still justified, and we're still called perfect, all right, in the eyes of the Lord. So I'm gonna kick it off with Abraham, man. All right. And kick it off with Abraham. Because Abraham, If I'm not mistaken, he's one of the first men that we see in the scriptures actually having multiple wives. All right. So let's go to the book of Genesis. All right. Let's go to the book of Genesis. All right. I'm gonna go to Genesis chapter 11 and verse number 27. It says, "Now these are the generations of Terah. Terah begat Abram, Nahor, and Haran. And Haran begat Lot. And Haran died before his father Terah in the land of his nativity in Ur the Chaldees. And Abram and Nahor took them wives. The name of Abram's wife was Sarai, and the name of Nahor's wife, Milcah, the daughter of Haran, the father of Milcah, and the father of Iscah. But Sarai was barren; she had no child. So Sarai, all right, Sarai, also known as Sarah, was the first wife of Abraham. All right, as we see right here, was the first wife of Abraham. Let's keep reading. And Terah took Abram his son, and Lot the son of Haran his son's son, and Sarai his daughter-in-law, his son Abram's wife, and they went forth with them from the land from Ur the Chaldees to go into the land of Canaan, and they came unto Haran and dwelt there. All right, so I'm gonna skip down or basically go to another precept and link up with that. All right. So we have that, and then I want to get this precept right when it goes into the handmaid. All right. Get this precept real quick. This is the book of Genesis. All right. All right, come on. Genesis chapter 16 and verse 1. Now keep that in mind. Sarai was barren, meaning she couldn't have any children. So this is why Abram kind of got another wife. Because that would be another, because remember, having multiple wives it doesn't mean or it doesn't indicate or show that okay, because this man he just wants more he wants just more flavors. That's all, man. He just wants more flavors. That's why. That's what people think. Oh, you want multiple women. You want multiple wives. That's what they automatically think. You just want more flavors, like it's damn Baskin Robbins, man. You know, you want 31 flavors, right? Which one am I going to eat today? Well, man, that's off. All right, that's off. The reason why these men have multiple wives was mainly because or one of the reasons we're about to read right now is because let's say one of your women, right, there wasn't having any children. So what are you ought to do? Back then, what they could do? I mean, what could they do? Right, for 30 years, hey, no children. What could they do back then, man? Can't adopt. What does Abraham look like adopting a child? Man? Right now, he wants his own children, so he got him another wife. And the Lord still, guess what? He didn't condemn Abraham for doing that, right? But I'm gonna keep reading. Let's go to Genesis 16 and verse 1. Now Sarai, Abraham's wife, bare him no children, and she had a handmaid, an Egyptian, whose name was Hagar. And Sarai said unto Abram, Behold, now the Lord hath restrained me from bearing. I pray thee, go in unto my maid. It may be that I obtain children by her. And Abram hearkened to the voice of Sarai. And Sarai, Abram's wife, took Hagar, her maid, the Egyptian, after Abram had dwelt 10 years in the land of Canaan, and gave her to her husband Abram to be his wife. You see that? And he went in unto Hagar, and she conceived, and when she saw that she had conceived, her mischief was despised in her eyes. So that's why Abram, he kind of took Hagar to have more, or to literally have children. And out of Hagar came Ishmael, if you keep reading, right? But Khan, you got it, King.
Khan, beautiful point and precept, King. Like the brother going into the work, man, you can have multiple wives. That's even in the law. Everybody says, show me in the law where you have multiple wives. Well, this is the book of Exodus, chapter 21 and verse 10. And it reads, if he take him another wife, her food, her raiment, and her duty of marriage shall he not diminish. And that's plain upon tables, man. That's in the law, the first 5 books. The Lord's granting man that if you take another wife, meaning multiple wives in this thing, you have certain duties. What are those certain duties? those certain duties is her raiment. You gotta take care of her raiment. Make sure you got clothes on her back. It says in her duty, so like her food, her make sure she's eating, she's not starving. You go over here 4 days, you got 10 wives, but all of them starving away, man. No, if you want to have multiple wives, guess what? You have to take care of them. The same way you have a baby, if you don't take care of them, man, CPS gonna come quickly and grab them up and throw them in a probably a FEMA camp. They might throw them in adoption. They might throw them in a foster care, man. You have to take care of them. So yeah, you can have multiple wives. That's in the Bible, but you also have to take care of them, right? And it reads, in her duty of marriage, things that pertain to marriage, him going into her, rendering unto her due, benevolence, like it says in First Corinthians 7, man, right? And it says, shall he not diminish? So the Lord said you can have multiple wives. That's thus saith the Lord. Now, if you say that's not true, you can't have multiple wives. That's wicked. Well, you gotta take it up with the Lord. And if you saying that's wicked, you calling the Most High God wicked, and He's righteous, right? I'm gonna get a precept too. This is the book of Genesis, chapter 32, and verse 20, and it reads, "And say ye moreover, behold, thy servant Jacob is behind us, for he said, I will appease him with the present that goeth before me." Slakia. Uh, I will appease him with the present that goeth before me, and afterward I will see his face, peradventure he will accept of me. Right? So went the present over before him, and himself lodged that night in the company, but it's a point. And he rose up that night and took his 2 wives and his 2 women servants and his 11 sons and passed over the ford Jabbok. So Jacob had 2 wives and he had women servants. He had concubines in this thing. Same thing with Abraham, right? He had wife Sarah, Sarah, how whatever you want to call her. Sarah in her Hebrew name, but he also had Hagar, Keturah. He had different wives in this thing, multiple wives and concubines. Our forefathers, it tells you in the prayer of Manasseh that they were righteous. They didn't do no sin. Let me get that real quick. They didn't do no sin. So if you saying again that's wicked, then you calling our righteous forefathers wicked. You calling Abraham, the friend of God, wicked. You're gonna get destroyed, man. You're gonna
Right.
get that's off. But this is a book of the prayer of Manasseh. There's really no verses. You just gotta find it, you know. You gotta find it. But I'm gonna start at thou therefore, O Lord, thou art the God of the just, hast not appointed repentance to the just, as to Abraham and Isaac and Jacob, which have not sinned against thee. You see that? So they didn't sin against the Lord. When Abraham took him multiple wives, he did not sin against the Lord. What is sin? The transgression of the law, right? When Jacob had multiple wives, he did not transgress the law. Because again, sin is the transgression of the law, and it tells you again, like in Exodus 21 and verse 10, in the law that you can have multiple wives.
That's
So,
right.
you know, so Colin, you got it, King.
It's madness, man. I got that precept, right? I'm gonna go to James chapter 2, verse 23. And the scripture was fulfilled, which saith, Abraham believed God, and it was imputed unto him for righteousness, and he was called the friend of God. So Abraham was called the friend of the Most High. So if you sitting up here saying, "Oh, that's wicked," you just lustful. That's why. This, that, and the third. You're off. And they kind of go to 1 Corinthians 7. Hey, guess what? We're going to deal with that, bro. So you mean to tell me, Paul, right? So like, I'm going to put a preset real quick. Hey, it's a counter argument, right? I'm going to put a preset that they pull to say that having multiple wives is lustful and wicked and off and evil, right? Even though Abraham did it. Or they might say, oh, that's an Old Testament thing. Now you're a Christian, man. If you're saying that's an Old Testament thing, now you're saying that the law changed, basically. That the laws changed and that the Most High changed. That's, hey, man, right? That's stuff that we ought not to be saying, right? Let's go to 1 Corinthians chapter 7 and verse number 2. I'm sorry, verse 1. It says, now concerning the things whereof you wrote unto me, it is good for a man not to touch a woman. Now, if we're taking everything literal, right? If we're taking everything literal and just upholding it to the clouds of what Paul is saying, right? That means, hey, guess what? Don't take a wife then, right? Don't take a wife. Because guess what? Hey, Paul said, I would that all men were even as I myself. Right? Hey, that's what Paul said. And he also said it is good for a man not to touch women. So then, so you're gonna take that and run with it and just be like, all right, I'm not gonna have a wife. Nah, you still gonna have a wife. You still gonna have children. This is Paul, right? He's not giving out a damn commandment for the Lord. He's just saying, hey, guess what? It's good because it comes with benefits, man. Hey, Wisdom of Psalm 3 and 14 says, blessed is the eunuch, with his hands have wrought no iniquity, nor imagine wicked things against God, for unto him shall be given the special gift of faith. Right? So there's the Lord, he kind of up, he talks about the eunuch, man, because that's a heavy lot. Paul was a eunuch, Daniel was a eunuch, right? Jeremiah, the Lord told Jeremiah he cannot have any kids in Jeremiah chapter 16, right? So but the Lord, he really does big up the eunuchs, right? Men that don't have any wives, right? Or children. But it says, and with me saying that, I'm gonna go to verse 2, right? It says, nevertheless, right? But to avoid fornication, because we know that it's hard for men, and women, right, to refrain, right? Kind of the lust creeping up, just burning. And, in verse 9, it says, but if they cannot contain, let them marry, for it is better to marry than to burn, right? So you don't want to just be sitting up there burning your lust, you kind of just rubbing your legs, right? Sweating, you look kind of, you pick up the phone, put it down, bro. Stuff like that, man. Hey, the Lord said, nevertheless, to avoid fornication, right? Or you just go over here, you hit it and quit it, to avoid that kind of stuff, right? To avoid going off, right? To avoid going off. It says, let every man have his own wife and let every woman have her own husband, right? So, hey, it's good to marry them. But here's the thing. So Christians will take this and they'll say, oh, look, Paul said, let every man have his own wife. Own wife, right? That means one, right? Just your own wife. Like if I have a wife, that's my own wife. That's just one though. And it says, and let every woman have her own husband. Now, is he saying literally, okay, you can only have one wife according to the Most High? Did he ever say that? He just said, let every man have his own wife. Now, if I have my own car, does that mean that I only have one car? La. Hey, Baya, what says thou? If I say I only have, it's like if I say I have my own car, does that mean that I only have one car? La. It doesn't exactly mean that. It just means I have my own car. That's it. I didn't say how many. I just say I have my own car, right? Or that's my own car. But that doesn't mean that I don't have others, right? It doesn't mean that. Let's just be honest here. But Christians will take that and be like, let every man have his own wife, right? But we're showing through the precepts that the Lord actually, and guess what? Because Abraham, he didn't sin against the Lord. It's not a sin. It's literally in the law. Exodus chapter 21, like how the brother just demonstrated, right? Things like that is literally in the law, right? And we're going to show more precepts on how, right? It's literally it's not expedient for all men, of course, but it's lawful. All right, that's the point. It's lawful. It's not going off. It's not a sin. Because certain men would say that it's a sin. All right, but I'm gonna go to I'm gonna pull this quick precept and then you got it, King. Judges chapter 12 and verse 8. I'm gonna start verse 7. And Jephthah judged Israel 6 years, then died Jephthah the Gileadite, and was buried in one of the cities of Gilead. And after him, Ibazan of Bethlehem judged Israel. And he had 30 sons and 30 daughters. So I'm going to read that again, all right? And he had 30 sons and 30 daughters, whom he sent abroad, and took in 30 daughters from abroad for his sons, and he judged Israel 7 years. So you mean to tell me that Ibazan of Bethlehem, who judged Israel, who had 30 sons and 30 daughters, only had one wife? Out of one woman, he had these $30 and these 30 cents. And it's just one woman. So this one woman begat 30 sons and daughters in the ancient world without the medical damn information that they have now. Like, man, you'd be damn crazy if you said that. Yeah? You know what I'm saying? It was just one woman. And this was a judge. And the Lord never said Ibazan of Bethlehem was wicked and evil. Didn't have a whole damn chapter about how he's evil and stuff like that. Right? He judged Israel. Right? And he was buried at Bethlehem. And guess what? Who else was buried at Bethlehem? Other judges and righteous men, you know? So he was buried with other righteous men. All right, but Khan, you got it, King. So.
Like I always say too, if it wasn't for multiple wives, a lot of people wouldn't even be here, man. A lot of people bang on multiple wives. They banging on multiple wives, but saying Jacob was wicked. But if it wasn't for him going into Rachel, going to Leah, going into Zilpah, going to Bilhah, a lot of people wouldn't be on here, man. I'm from the tribe of Judah. But you banking saying that he's going to Leah and Rachel. Hey, Judah comes from Leah, man. Benjamin, Ephraim, Puerto Ricans, stuff like that. Joseph comes from Rachel. So people, they be hating on multiple wives, but you wouldn't be here if it wasn't for multiple wives. It's not for lust reason. A lot of people nowadays, their mind is, jacked up. Their mind is very jacked up. They think of multiple wives is just to get your rocks off, just to burn your just to get that lust, released, man. No, it's when you really look at it, having multiple wives is more hands. Because when you only have one, you have a man and a woman, stuff like that. That's only 4 hands, and you're already doing so much. You can only do so much. Imagine having 6 hands, 8 hands, stuff like that. Multiple wives, you got people cleaning, cooking, more what's it called, income coming in. All these different things is more of a business type thing. But people don't understand that. They think you just want to get your rocks off, you just lust, and that's all, brother. No, right? This is the book of This is the book of Genesis. My bad. Chapter 1 and verse 29. God, this book of Genesis, chapter 1 and verse 29. It's like verse 28 when it reads, and God blessed them, and God said unto them, be fruitful and multiply, and replenish the earth and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over every living thing that moveth upon the earth. So that's the reason. That's the reason why you have a wife in this thing, man. That's the reason why a man carries the seed, because that seed has to be planted in soil. You can plant many seeds in that one soil, man. A woman can't get many seeds planted in her. Just one woman planted in her, man, and produce a lot of babies and stuff like that. No, a man could take that seed, plant it in this woman, that female, and bring forth multiple babies in this thing, man. But their brother was going into had 30 kids, if I'm not mistaken. That's not just by one female. I don't think I ever know about a woman right now that can bring forth 30 kids in her lifetime. Her womb gonna be jacked up, especially in these weak bodies. Oh, go ahead, King.
Oh, it's like it's actually 60 because it's $30 and 30 cents. So 60.
60, right? 60, huh? So I never heard of someone bringing forth 60 kids in this lifetime, man. Cause you got a lot of Planned Parenthood, abortions, you got all these different wicked diseases, and in the body, our immune system is weak, our body is weak, man. Right? So how did he do that? Because he had multiple wives. Let's go. Let me get. Even our forefather David, man, he had multiple wives. He had concubines. He had wives. Solomon had some too, right? Our forefathers knew how to move, and the Lord and David had a perfect heart with the Lord. So if you're saying that he's going off, even though he has a perfect heart of the Lord, you gotta check your heart, man. This is book of 1 Samuel, chapter 25, verse 41, I believe. 1 Samuel chapter 25 and verse 41. So I'm gonna get straight to the point. I start verse 41. I'll start verse 40. 1 Samuel 25 and verse 40. And when the servants of David were come to Abigail to Carmel, they spake unto her, saying, David sent us unto thee to take thee to him to wife. And she arose and bowed herself on her face to the earth, and said, Behold, let thine handmaid be a servant to wash the feet of thy servant of the servants of my Lord. And Abigail hasted and arose and rode upon an ass with 5 camels of hers that went after her. And she went after the messengers of David and became his wife. So now we know that Abigail and David, they're married. They're one flesh. Abigail is David's wife. Verse 43. David also took Ahinoam of Jezreel, and they were also both of them his wives. You see that? But Saul had given Michal, his daughter, David's wife, to Phalti, the son of Laish, which was of Galilee, which is off, man. So really, technically, in this time, David had already had multiple wives. Man, he had already had what's her name, Mike McCall, already.
Yeah, con.
Then Abigail, then Ahinoam, right? So David had multiple wives and much more later on. You think David had all those kids, Absalom, Solomon, all these different kids just by one wife? No, he had multiple wives, man. Showing you that it's very expedient for you to have. I mean, not expedient, but it's cool for you to have multiple wives if you know what you're doing. Like I said before, like the brother said too, having multiple wives nowadays, it wouldn't be expedient for most brothers because most brothers they have to go out there and teach. They have to make sure that set the nations in order. They have to make sure everything is straight, man. If you had 3 wives right now, you might bug out. You don't even bring enough income to take care of them, man. They might turn away your heart away from the Lord, like they did to Solomon, like they did to Samson. Hey man, you never know. I'm gonna get a few more precepts to lock you. I'm gonna get this real quick in Matthew to touch what brother was saying earlier. This is Matthew chapter 19 and verse 11. But he said unto them, all men cannot receive the same save they to whom it is given. So everyone won't be able to receive the same that what's called. I'm gonna start verse 10. His disciples say unto him, if the case of the man be so with his wife, it is not good to marry. So some people say it's not good to marry because again they might get distracted, they might take them away from the Lord, and things of that nature. But he said unto them, all men cannot receive the saying, save they to whom it is given, if you have ears to hear. Verse 12. For there are some eunuchs which were so born from their mother's womb. So a eunuch is a man that have his what's it called, his members cut off, his privy members cut off, his rod cut off, man. I mean he can't reproduce.
Right.
That would make him a stranger and stuff like that. So some people, some men, they was born like that. They didn't cut it off. A man that was circumcising him didn't slip up and cut the whole rod off, man. He was just born like that. All right. And it reads, from their mother's womb, and there are some eunuchs which were made eunuchs of men, like the Ethiopian. I believe in Acts chapter 8 and verse 30, if I'm not mistaken, on down. Right. That Ethiopian man, is it verse 30? Yeah, verse 30 on down. Yeah, come. Right. That Ethiopian man, people say, he's a Gentile. No, he's an Israelite from Ethiopia. But he was a eunuch, man, for the princess or something like that. For the queen. Right. And there be eunuchs which have made themselves eunuchs for the kingdom of heaven's sake. He that is able to receive it, let him receive it. Like Paul, he was a eunuch for the kingdom of heaven's sake. He didn't give himself into marriage. He didn't want to deal with no females. He didn't have multiple wives. He was a eunuch on a spiritual level, not dealing with these different women because he wanted the kingdom. He had things that he had to what's called think about and do for laboring. He had to go on missionary trips. He had to again, keep the feast days, set things in order. His mind wasn't focused on the on females. But that's the spirit though. Not every man's spirit is like that. Some man's spirit, they want that comfort. They might need someone to cook for them, do their laundry, be there for them. They might want that. So everybody's spirit is not the same. But the thing is, multiple wives isn't expedient for everybody, but it is lawful. But come.
Yep, con. That's right. That's right. I got this precept real quick to touch on that real quick. 1 Corinthians chapter 7. The brothers know I love going into 1 Corinthians 7, but 1 Corinthians 7 and verse and here's why, because just like how we're saying right now, it's not expedient for all men to have multiple wives, man. Because just like how these people in the world, when they, like how we're saying, they kind of, because remember, polygyny and polygamy is a crime in the United States. It's illegal. So you mean to tell me that I can have a wife, but I can't have another one? I can't have 2 wives, but a man and a man can marry. or a man can change his gender. That's totally legal in the United States. But a man can't have multiple wives. That's madness, man. The Lord says, surely your things, surely you're turning your things upside down, right? Because Esau, he turns things upside down, man. This world is crooked and it's perverse, right? It's crooked, man. Things is backwards in this world, right? But let's go to First Corinthians chapter 7 and verse number 32. But I would have you without carefulness. He that is unmarried care for the things that belong to the Lord, how he may please the Lord. You see that? So he that is unmarried, he's not married to any woman, he's not bound to any woman, man. He has more time, more energy to give to the Lord. He might even have his own hands full, man. Right? So how if you put a woman up in there, it's just going to be confusion. If you put another one, hey, guess what? The brother may not handle it because the brothers, even the unmarried brother, is still busy, man. You know, even brothers that's not married, is still busy. How much more if they are married? Because guess what? If you're married, according to the law, like how the brother brought out in Exodus 21 and 10, you still have to give the duties of marriage unto her. You still have to provide for her, right? If a brother can barely provide for himself in a one studio damn apartment, how is he gonna and he has a wife, how are they gonna damn survive? How's he gonna be able to provide for her? You know? But it says what? Right? It says how he may please the Lord, but he that is married, so he that is married, he that has a wife, right? He that has a wife. It says, um, he that is married care for the things that are of the world, how he may please his wife. So he that is married, he cares for the things of the world, how he may please his wife, because he's going to be thinking about how to please his wife. He's going to be thinking about you know, oh yeah, that's right. I gotta read with her. I gotta pray with her. I gotta fast with her, right? And that's good. But you also have to know that you got to be built up yourself, man. How you going to build anybody else up if you're not built up yourself, right? How are you going to give her spiritual guidance and counsel when you don't know where you're going, man? Right? You're kind of confused. You're talking about follow me. You're confused. You don't know where to go, man. Stuff like that. So that's why the Paul is saying, and guess what? Because you're going to have to give more time. That time that you could have gave to the Lord and building yourself up, now you have to give that to your wife. Because as a man, you are a provider. You're a leader. All right. I don't care what the damn feminists say. All right. The man is a provider and the leader that the Lord has set up in the last days. That's First Corinthians chapter 11 verse 3 on down, man. Right. The head of every man is Christ, and the head of the woman is the man, and the head of Christ is God, man. Right. That's a precept, right? All right. So when we say multiple wives, people think, oh yeah, because it's just you damn lustful and that's it. You just want more flavor. Like, it's not always that, man. It's not that easy. It's more stressful. It's more stress. You have to deal with this woman and her kids. You have to deal with this woman and her kids, right? This, and the third. You have to make sure that she's straight. Got to make sure that she's straight. You also got to make sure that you straight too, man. Or else you start going crazy, right? So it's really about balance. It's really about, damn, hey, you got to be really strong, man. You have to be a real strong dude, right? So, or it's like not dude, but man, Israelite man. All right, but you got it, King.
That's plain. You know, I'm gonna get this real quick too. Proverbs chapter 14 and verse 34. It reads, "Righteousness exalteth a nation, but sin is a reproach to any people." So, like we know, righteousness is you keeping the law. So, when you keep the law in truth and sincerity, that was what exalts the nation. For example, we're in a captivity right now. Why? Because we're wicked. You have females again aborting their kids.
Con, I'll pick it up when my brother can hop back in when he can hop back in. All right, but I'm gonna get this real quick in Judges chapter 8 and verse 29. And
Salaki,
Jerusalem. Oh, you got it?
Salaki about that.
Okay, you got it.
I'm gonna bring this out real quick again. Proverbs chapter 14 verse 34. Righteousness exalteth a nation, but sin is a reproach to any people. So if you want to be exalted, you have to keep the law in this thing. If don't burn your lust, don't be committing fornication. Because like we said before, look, marriage, is good and stuff like that. Don't burn in your committing fornication, adultery, and stuff like that. When you get married, as you laying down with a female. And our forefathers knew that. That's why when you read Deuteronomy, when they go to war, they get to take beautiful captives real quick. Let me get that real quick, actually. They can take different females and take them captives and go in unto them, and those are their concubines. Those are their wives. Let me get that real quick. This is Deuteronomy chapter 21. God. Deuteronomy chapter 21 and verse 10. And it reads, When thou goest forth to war against thy enemies, and the Lord thy God hath delivered them into thine hands, and thou hast taken them captive. So when you go to war, like our forefather David, Joab, King Solomon didn't have any wars, but all of our different forefathers, like Abner, when they went to war, you might see a beautiful woman, like of an East Indian, of I don't know, Edom, I don't know. You might see a beautiful woman, right? And it reads, verse 11, and seest among the captives a beautiful woman, and hast a desire unto her, that thou wouldest have her to thy wife, then thou shalt bring her home to thine house, and she shall shave her head and pare her nails. Because when you take away their identity on how they look like before, you take away their customs, their heritage, all that, that's like stripping them of their nationality and making them bare and making them ashamed and shamefaced. There's a spiritual thing behind it. That's why when you go to the military, you go to prison, they shave off that hair. They might shave off the hair. They might cut your nails. In prison, they might go in. They might go upside on you. If you're a man and female, they might go upside on you, man. If you know what I'm saying, right? It's all tactics, I guess you can say. All right. Verse 12. Then thou shalt bring her home to thine house, and she shall shave her head and pare her nails, and she shall put the raiment of her captivity from off her, and shall remain in thy house, and bewail her father and her mother in full month. And after that, thou shalt go in unto her and be her husband, and she shall be thy wife. You see that? So when you going to war back then, because they already had wives and stuff like that. But when they went to war, they saw these beautiful females amongst the captives, and they took them as concubines, and they used them as handmaids. You might use them as a cook. It tells you that Saul. Let me get this picture real quick. That he took the daughters of Israel, I believe, and he made them confectionaries. You know, I'm saying that correctly. Like some cooks and stuff like that. So it's not always just about intercourse, sexual intercourse and stuff like that. It's also about getting business done. Let me see. This is the book of First Samuel. Man. First Samuel. I can't find it. That's the Lord. First Samuel chapter 8 verse 13, and it reads, and he would take your daughters to be confectionaries, and to be cooks, and to be bakers. You see that? So some females they're taken captive by these men to be made cooks, to be made bakers, to be made cleaners. You see that right now on television, man. You might be watching some TV show, and you see that maid in that black dress with the white around her and stuff like that. And what she's doing, she's cleaning. She's cleaning down everything, make sure everything's straight. She's mopping, make sure everything's straight, man. So it's not always just about intercourse and sex. It's also for slave work, handmaid and stuff like that. A bond woman, you know. But everything is legal. Like we're bringing out. I know the brother had a point, but I got right after you though, King.
Oh, Con. I'm getting there real quick. This is a book of Ezekiel, chapter 23. All right, Ezekiel chapter 23, verse 1. It says, the word of the Lord came again unto me, saying, Son of man, there were two women, the daughters of one mother. So this is a parable. All right, this is a parable. It's not literal. All right, but it's a parable. All right. It says there were two women, the daughters of one mother. All right, so they're sisters, and they committed whoredoms in Egypt. They committed whoredoms in their youth. It's like there were their breasts pressed, and there they bruised the teats of their virginity, And the names of them were Aholah the elder, and Aholibah her sister, and they were mine. And they bare sons and daughters. Thus were their names: Samaria is Aholah, and Jerusalem Aholibah, right? And Aholah played the harlot when she was mine, and she doted on her lovers, on the Assyrians, her neighbors, which were clothed with blue, captains and rulers, all of them desirable young men, horsemen, riding upon horses. Thus she committed her whoredom with them, and with all them that were the chosen men of Assyria, and with all on whom she doted, with all her idols she defiled herself. All right. So, and if you keep reading on, or I'm gonna skip down to verse 11. And when her sister Aholibah saw this, she was more corrupt in her inordinate love than she, and in her whoredoms more than her sister, and her in her whoredoms. Right. So basically, I pulled this precept because in this parable you have Aholibah and you have Aholah. All right, and these are the southern and northern kingdom. That's Israel and Judah. So Israel and Judah are the Most High's wives. The Lord said, and they were mine. They were mine. So, hey, guess what? You calling the Most High wicked now? Hold up now. You saying that men with multiple wives is wicked, off, lustful. So you gonna sit up here and call the Most High lustful? Oh, wait. Hey, that's madness, man. Nobody better call the Lord lustful, right? That would be off. So the Lord literally has two wives, Israel and Judah. So now, so why is the Lord saying, we know that it's a parable. We know that it's, everything's not literal in that parable. But guess what? Why would the Lord take this thing and he's he's kind of playing with it. Let's say it was wicked. It is wicked to have multiple wives. Let's say it is. So why is the Lord taking some wicked thing and applying it to himself? The Lord doesn't associate with any wickedness, man. Right? He doesn't get down with sin or any iniquity, man. Right? There is no unrighteousness in him at all. Right? I'm gonna get that precept. All right. I'm gonna get okay. Well, Psalm 92 is good, but I'm gonna get Psalm 92. Right. This is a book of Psalm 92, verse number 15. Right. It says, to show the Lord that it's like to show that the Lord is upright, he is my rock, and there is no unrighteousness in him. There is no unrighteousness in the Lord. There's no sin in the Lord. So if you sitting up here saying, oh, multiple wives is off, the Lord literally said in the parable he has multiple wives. Judah and Israel, they played the harlot. So you're going to call the Lord wicked now? You got it, King.
I got a few preachers to link up with the brother too. Jeremiah chapter 31 and verse 31. Behold, the days come, saith the Lord, that I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Judah. The house of Israel represents the northern kingdom. The house of Judah represents the southern kingdom. All right. Verse 32. Now, according to the covenant that I made with their fathers in the day that I took them by the hand to bring them out of the land of Egypt, which my covenant they break, although I was an husband unto them, saith the Lord. So the Lord's making these two different people, like it says in what the brother read. You got Israel as one woman, and Judah as the other female, as the other woman, and it tells you that the Lord is a husband unto them. Huh? The Lord always referenced them as two different women, and the Lord's being a husband because the Lord loved dealing with multiple wives, man. Solomon, he was getting down with multiple wives. And if you have ears to hear, Solomon was Yahushua. So, what you think is really going to happen? You think Yahushua in the kingdom of heaven, it's just, hey, you're going to be keeping the law, man. I'm going to get another precept because it tells you that Matthew 25, right, the kingdom of heaven. Let's get that real quick. This book of Matthew 25 and verse 1. And it reads, then shall the kingdom of heaven be likened unto 10 virgins, which took their lamps and went forth to meet the bridegroom. So you got 10 virgins going forth to meet the bridegroom. a multitude of different females on a spiritual level, because we're the virgins, to meet the bridegroom. Who's the bridegroom? Yahushua. So why is the Lord liking that the kingdom of heaven to 10 virgins going to the bridegroom, which is multiple wives, man? So if you're saying that's wicked, then you're saying the whole kingdom of heaven is going to be wicked. Because what do you think Isaiah 4:1 is talking about, man? Let's be real. Let me get that real quick.
Shoot. I was about to pull that, man.
All right, I'll let you pull it. I can get another precept real quick.
Okay, come. Hey, come.
This is big of Revelation, chapter 14, and verse 1. And it reads, "And I looked, and lo, a lamb stood on the Mount Zion, and with him 144,000, having his father's name written in their foreheads." Talking about men. "And I heard a voice from heaven, as the voice of many waters, and as the voice of a great thunder. And I heard the voice of harpers harping with their harps." But disappointment keep going to verse like 5. "And they sung as it were a new song before the throne and before the four beasts and the elders, and no man could learn that song but the 144,000 which were redeemed from the earth." And these 144,000 are men. In Revelation chapter 7, you can read it. Verse 4. "These are they which were not defiled with women, for they are virgins." Same verse in Matthew 25. It says, "For they are virgins. These are they which follow the Lamb whithersoever he goeth. These were redeemed from among men, being the first fruits unto God and to the Lamb. And in their mouth was found no guile, for they are without fault before the throne of God." You see that? Those virgins are multiple people, man, following the Lord whithersoever he goes. And Yahushua is the bridegroom. So Yahushua even locking the kingdom of heaven to multiple wives, huh? Because your own opinion is misconstruing the Bible, man. Like some Christian pastor, a pork chop eating pastor, he likes to misconstrue the scriptures. He want to talk about what he feels like instead of going, "Thus saith the Lord." But Khan, you got it.
Hey, Khan, that's right, man. They stopped mixing Western philosophy, and civilization, right? And Babylonianism into the scriptures, man. Just because Esau said you can't have multiple wives, but he's the main one that's being wicked as hell, right? Khan. But he's the main one that's damn being wicked as hell, right? Saying that you could be gay. You can mess with beasts, man. That those things are strictly damn, what's it called? Condemned in the scriptures. You may not do that. Thou shalt not. This is literally thou shalt not, man. In Leviticus chapter 20, verse 13, right? It says, if a man lie with another mankind as he lied with a woman, both of them have committed an abomination, right? They shall surely be put to death. Their blood shall be upon them. But where's that precept where it says that their blood shall be upon them if a man takes on him another wife? It's not in there, man. It's not in there, right? It's like if you pull, now you put the one in Exodus 21. You put that one in Deuteronomy, where it talks about if two men basically go together. Okay, Khan. So basically, yeah. Let me pull this precept real quick. Deuteronomy 25 verse 5. It says, "If brethren dwell together, and one of them die and have no child, the wife of the dead shall not marry without unto a stranger. Her husband's brother shall go in unto her and take her to him to wife, and perform the duty of an husband's brother unto her." So you telling me that's a sin? The Lord is giving license to sin now, right? The Lord is giving license to sin. Let's say this brother already had a wife, which he probably already did. Probably already had a wife. Then his brother, he died. Guess what the Lord said? Guess what? Now you have to take your brother's wife to raise up seed unto thy brother. And if you don't, it shall be a sin unto thee, right? Now, what if this brother already had a wife? Now he can't do it. Nah, man, the Lord didn't say that. It's if you have a wife or not. If you have then 10 wives, you still got to do it, man. Right? So, it's literally in the law, like how the brother's been going through, right? But Slaki, I want to put this quick precept in the book of Isaiah, chapter 4, verse 1. You can't get around this precept, man. Brother's trying to say, right? It's talking about Israel. It's talking about Israel, like the parable in Matthew 25. It's not literal. It's not literal. Hey man, this is real. Let's say if it's literal or not, man. Right? It says, and in that day, 7 women shall take hold of one man, saying, right? We will eat our own bread and wear our own apparel. Only let us be called by thy name to take away our reproach. This is literal, man. A 7 women, we know 7 is the number of completion. So it could be a literal 7. It could not be. It could be more than that, less than that. But nevertheless, we know that, guess what? According to prophecy, 7 women is going to take hold of one man. All right. And it says what? So that's literally, so you mean to tell me in the Lord's prophecy, right, that this is going to happen, that this is off. So the Lord's prophesying about 7 women taking hold of one man, and it's off as well. Where did the Lord ever say that's off? That they're going to be destroyed for doing it, lest they repent. It's not in there. It says 7 women shall take hold of one man, saying, "We will eat our own bread and wear our own apparel." How is that talking about Israel? Because last time I checked, we have to eat of the bread of the Lord and wear the apparel of the Lord, not our own apparel, not coming with our own things in our own vain mind, in our own bread. Last time I checked, the Lord wants us to eat of his bread and of his water and of his honey, etc., and put on his garments, man, not our own. So what is that talking about, man? Right? It's talking about in the days of Jacob's trouble. All right, in the days of Jacob's trouble, and even guess what? 7 women's going to be taken on hold on one man, even in the kingdom of heaven, man. But it says what? Only let us be called by thy name to take away our reproach. All right, because women in those days, they're going to be looking for the men of the Lord, man. I'm gonna get this quick preset and I'll pass it to the brothers. Just link up with that. This book of Isaiah, chapter 32, and verse number 2. And a man shall be as in hiding place from the wind. So a man is going to be precious in those days, like how the Lord said. It's going to be precious, especially men of the Lord, because they're going to have the direction of the Lord. They're going to know what to do. It says, shall be as in hiding place from the wind, and a covered from the tempest, as rivers of waters in a dry place, and as a shadow of a great rock in a weary land. So a man is going to be a covering from the wind, because women need protection. Even though they don't say it or proclaim it in these days, they need protection, man. They need a head. That's what the Lord said. Even from the time of Genesis, that's what the Lord said. And unto thy husband shall be thy desire, and your husband's going to rule over you. He already set that in stone. There's nothing you can do to change that, man. Right? But Khan, you got that, King.
And to touch on that rape thing too, that's a good point the brother's making about them needing that head, that protection. That's why the men is called the head. You know, but like if you have women getting raped right now, and they have the 911 at the disposal, they can call for help at the disposal right now. How much more in Jacob's trouble where you won't be able to call for 911 and emergency services, huh? When all hell's going to break loose, like it's the purge. No matter what happens, anything goes. You got 10 men in Jacob's trouble walking up to you. You was the one that's saying, what's it called, Hot Girl Summer, back then. But now in Jacob's trouble, guess what? You have 10 men walking up to you, about to do what they want with you. You can't fight them off, man. You're gonna try to throw a hook. They're gonna grab that hook, put it behind your back, and put you down and do what they gotta do to you, man. All right. So, it's important, that's why the men is the head. But this is book of First Timothy chapter 2 and verse 13. For Adam was first formed, then Eve, and Adam was deceived, and Adam was not deceived, but the woman being deceived was in the transgression. But it's the point, notwithstanding, she shall be saved in childbearing. You see that? So the woman is saved in childbearing, man. So in Isaiah 4 and 1, they cleave into the man going into each one of them, they bring forth children. That's covering a multitude of sins. The same way how you give alms, you go out there to shake the hand for you men, you covering up a multitude of sins. The same way when a female brings forth the kid, bring forth I'll say a son or a female, or guess what? That's covering a multitude of sins because while she's keeping the commandments. It tells you that when you keep the commandments in Sirach 35 and 1, you're bringing an offering of enough. Let me get that real quick. All right, so right. Chapter 35, verse 1, and it reads, sorry. He that keepeth the law bringeth offering enough. He that taketh heed to the commandment offereth a peace offering. You see that? So when you take heed to the law, when you keep the law, statute, commandments, you bring an offering enough, man. Right? And that offering is going to knock off all the sins that you have upon you. All right? I want to get this too, the link of what I'm saying too. Isaiah chapter 60 and verse 22. And it reads, I'll start at verse 21. Thy people also shall be all righteous. They shall inherit the land forever. The branch of my planting, the work of my hands, that I may be glorified. So this talking about the kingdom. Kingdom connotation in the future about how the kingdom of heaven going to be. We're all going to be righteous. You won't have Eve bucking up, putting that finger with that long fingernail in your face, man, scratching up your eyebrows. You won't have that happen. You won't have Jake putting Eve in a dang chokehold, man, or putting her against the wall like this, like she's a man. That won't be that won't be happening in the kingdom of heaven, man. Everything gonna be
All right.
right, done in order. Verse 22: A little one shall become 1,000, and a small one a strong nation. I, the Lord, will hasten it in His time. So, how will a little one become 1,000? How will a small one become a strong nation? You think one man and one female would produce 20,000 babies, man, at once in just a year? It takes 9 months to give, or 9 to 10 months to give birth to a child. So that won't be happening. You will be having multiple wives in the kingdom of heaven. Isaiah 4:1. James trouble and in the kingdom of heaven, man. A lot of people gonna cleave unto you, in that day, man. And let me get this real quick too. If you have, let's say, for example, real quick, Salakia, if you have a buyer in a Second Chronicles 13, I believe. God, bear with me. If he having multiple wives and a few kids, man, this thing, how much more the kingdom of heaven? Like you said it was Jephthah, right? And Judges was it Jephthah?
It's like it was the judge after Jephthah. It was like I it's like let me
Why are you looking for that? If you have these men having all these kids right now, how much more in the kingdom of heaven?
right. It was Ibazan. It's like
Abazan. You see that? But this is the book of Second Chronicles, chapter 13, and verse 21, and it reads, But Abiah waxed mighty and married 14 wives and begat 22 sons and 16 daughters, man. And the rest of the acts of Abiah and his ways and his sayings are written in the story of the prophet Iddo. You see that? But the point is, if that's a carnal man back then, and he had 14 wives and begat 22 sons and 16 daughters, with not just one wife, but multiple wives, how much more in the kingdom of heaven? We're going to be living for eternity, living forever. We're going to have multiple wives. That's how the Lord will make a people. Let's say you're going to have Yasharallah and his wife and his household. You're going to have Yasharallah. Then you're going to have the house of Yasharallah. Then you're going to have the nation of Yasharallah, man. The nation of Yasharallah. Yeah, I'm an Israelite, from the tribe, this, that, and the third. I'm from the nation of Yasharallah. Oh, you see that? Yasharallah, man, or something like that. Yasharallah, hey, double Yasharallah in this thing, But Khan, that's how it's gonna be in that day, But Khan, you won't be just be having one wife in the kingdom of heaven. Y'all been with each other for thousands and thousands of years. Okay, you're getting sick and tired of each other. You put her head in a cake. All hell just breaking loose. No, man, you're gonna have multiple wives. You're gonna have manservants and woman servants,
right.
handmaids, handmaids and stuff like that. Don't stop. Don't limit the most high God and stop feeling some type of way. The Lord said, blessed is he whosoever is not offended in me, man. But come on.
Khan, hey, that's right, man. That's right. And they even reminded me that guess what? Hey, Moses had multiple wives, man. Now people don't want to talk about Moses, man. Right? Hey, I dare you speak down to Moses, man. Right? Hey, me and the brothers just talking about Moses. We was on the phone, right? Hey, guess what? You better not talk about Moses, right? And we see what the Lord did to Miriam, right? I'm gonna get that real quick, right? When Miriam, his own sister, was talking about Moses, what did the Lord do? He turned her leprous as snow, right? Because remember, Moses, his first wife, was it's like I forgot the name, but it was by the Midianite, all right, the Midianite. I'm gonna get this Exodus chapter 2 and verse number. Oh yeah, Zipporah, Slakia. Exodus chapter 2, verse 21. And Moses was content to dwell with the man, and he gave Moses Zipporah his daughter, and she bare him a son, and he called his name Gershom, for he said, I have been a stranger in a strange land. All right, so we know that Moses that was his first wife, right? But guess what? He didn't just stop there. He had more wives, man. All right, he had more wives. Because guess what? He could do that. All right. I mean, it's his right. Just like how people would talk about, oh, it's our right to abort babies, to kill people, basically. It's my right to kill people. Is what you're saying, right? Don't talk about me like that, or don't talk about women like that. Don't put women in the box. It's their right, right? They might even say, by God, is my God-given right. But when they say it's my right, they're really saying that Esau gave me the permission to kill, so I'm gonna kill my baby. Yeah, that's basically what they're saying. Because Esau says, okay, Esau said I could do it, so I can do it now. Now it's justified in the eyes of the Lord. Man. When did the Lord ever say that, bro? When did the Lord ever say you can kill your baby? So we live in a world, it's crazy, man. We live in a world in which you can kill your baby and people will applaud you for that and support you for that, right? And dance for you. Or dance for you or dance with you, right? And praise you for killing your baby. But you can't have more than one wife. So that's the kind of world that we live in, right? So let's go to the book of Numbers, chapter 12, verse 1. And Miriam and Aaron spake against Moses because of the Ethiopian woman whom he had married, for he had married an Ethiopian woman. And they said, hath the Lord indeed spoken only by Moses? Have he not spoken also by us? And the Lord heard it. So the Lord, man, he's not playing. All right, the Lord hears these things, these murmurings, man. People talking about Moses like that. If you're talking about Moses, guess what? Hey, Moses, he married an Ethiopian woman. He also married or it's like his first wife was Zipporah, right? So hey, guess what? Moses, he had multiple wives, man, and multiple sons, right? And that was lawful for him to do so. All right, where's the account of the Lord getting on Moses for having multiple wives? Again, all right, as we keep going into, there's no account. All right, so but it's like I just want to put this quick precept as well. This is the book of Judges, chapter 8 and verse number 29. All right, Judges 8 and verse 29. And Jerubbabel, the son of Joash, went and dwelt in his own house. And Gideon had 70 sons of his body begotten. 70, 70 meaning 70, right? Or slacky 60. 60, because a score would be 20. So 3 times 20 is 60. So 60 and 10 sons. So 60 plus 10 is 70. So Gideon had 70 sons. Again, it's not just by one woman. That's ridiculous to say that. All right. 10 slacky sons of his body begotten, for he had many wives. And his concubine that was in Shechem, she also bare him a son whose name he called Amalek. It's like Abimelech. So Gideon had 70 sons. He had many wives, right? And he also had a concubine, man. Right? Or that could have been with one of his concubines or one of his wives. But nevertheless, he had wives and concubines, man. Right? Like a judge. He was a judge. He was the judge over Israel. Because remember, we didn't have kings at this time, but that's like a king, basically. Kingly status. All right, so we're going to tell the Gideon that he's wicked for that? That he's off? Like, man. Right? I what not? Right? Or like how the Lord said, I try not. So I'm going to get this also this other precept as well. Unless the brother had a precept.
I got like one more real quick. Um, Isaiah chapter 5 and verse 20. Woe unto them that call evil good and good evil, that put darkness for light, and light for darkness, that put bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter. When you really look at the world now, it's pretty scary. It's kind of scary how the world is now, man. Like, you have people getting upset because they can't murder their own babies no more. They can't abort babies and stuff like that. You have them having a marching down the streets in Atlanta. I saw on a video, all hell was breaking loose. You had people screaming. You had signs in the air. You had the prophet shaking the hand. All, all hell was breaking loose, man. I'm like, dang, right? Just because they can't abort their baby now. That wasn't during that time of Abraham. You know,
Right.
people aborted back then. You think Noah was walking around having protesting, right, with the sign in his hand about not aborting baby? No, he loved the law. He kept the law. But hey, this is a very perverse generation. It tells you Acts, deliver yourself, paraphrasing from this unto word, generation, man. And
Right.
that's this generation. This is gonna be the generation. That's why they call it Gen X or Gen Z, because Gen Z is the last alphabet, or G is the last alphabet, the last letter of the alphabet. This is the last generation, man. Before the Lord comes back, this is the generation the Lord's been talking about. This wicked ass generation. The Lord's gonna come back and
Right.
just. This is the book of Acts. Let me see what from that kind. Acts chapter 2 and verse 40. And with many other words did he testify and exhort, saying, save yourselves from this untoward generation. So this is a very perverse generation, man, that we have to save ourselves from. Like, you really have people upset. Like, you gotta really think about these things, man. You have people upset about, not being with others, babies and stuff like that. There was something else too. Like, this place is upside down. There was
Right.
something I was thinking about too. But Con, you got it, King.
It kind of just like how I said to the spirit, surely you're turning the things upside down. Shall be, yeah, kind. It's Isaiah chapter 29, just like how the brother's saying, man. We live in a twisted world. But compared to the things that they allow in this society, how was it a big deal if I have another wife, man? Now it's illegal. Now the police kind of knocking on your door, this, that, and the third. Now you going to court. You dare have handcuffs on your damn like this. You kind of handcuff appearing before the judge because you have more than one wife, right? That's off, man. That's madness. You know. Now let's say it's 6 months in jail just because you have more than one wife, right? But then you have other people over here them going through 7 abortions already. It's her 7th abortion, right? So basically meaning that she killed 7 kids, basically. She killed 7 kids, and then now she get a damn lollipop. She gets a lollipop in a hand in a pat on the back, right? Saying we hope to see you soon or something like that, man. Right? Or come back again. Right? But now you get it locked up. You get harassed by the police just because you have 2 wives. Hey, that's crazy, man. Right? That's crazy. Right? So, what is it a big deal? Is it harming anybody? Right? It's not harming anybody. It's actually beneficial to households. Now, like how the brother said, now you have more income coming in. Now you have more kids. Now you kind of, hey, the Lord's blessing your household. It's fruitful. This and the third, you have more help around the house. You can go to work. You have a stable job, so you're able to bring in a good income, stuff like that. But then now the police kind of kick down the door. Hey, what's going on? Hey, everybody on the floor, this and the third, and kind of come in and mess everything up, just like how Satan does. He always has to mess things up, right? Kind of has to always have to come in there and ruin your day, man. Right? So it's crazy. So I'm gonna get this precept, Isaiah chapter 29. Isaiah 29 and verse 15. Woe unto them that seek deep to hide their counsel from the Lord, and their works are in the dark, and they say, who seeth us and who knoweth us? That's what these people are saying right now. Who seeth us and who knoweth us? Right? The Lord's not looking at our sin. The Lord's not looking at this. The Lord's not looking at me when I'm literally killing my baby. Right? The Lord's not looking at that. It says what? Verse 16. Surely your turning the things upside down shall be esteemed as a potter's clay. So Esau has turned things upside down. And that's why our people, man, they're just lost. They're crazy. They can't see. Right? I'm going to get this precept real quick in the book of Deuteronomy. But they'll literally shake the hand at you. Here you are, you're shaking the hand. You're trying to reason with Eve why it's a bad thing for our people to be aborting our babies, man. Right? When you look at the statistics, there are more so-called, so-called black. They say so-called black, right? But Judite babies in New York, in the state of New York, that were being aborted than were being born. So you're trying to reason with Eve and be like, guess what? Look, this is the reasons why you should stop aborting, right? And our people should start aborting the babies. She's getting mad at you for saying that, right? And she's not getting it, but she's getting mad at the fact that you saying that, polygyny is in the Bible, man. So that's off. It's like, it's crazy. I'm gonna get this in the book of Deuteronomy. All right. I'm gonna get Deuteronomy chapter. The Lord has not given you eyes to see nor ears to hear. Right. This is so lucky. I'm trying to find this precept real quick.
Oh, go again, King.
It's in Deuteronomy. All right. Basically, when Moses, I know it's like in the latter chapters, so because I was just reading it last night, but basically it's like when Moses, he had said, the Lord has not given you eyes to see nor ears to hear unto this day. So like, might have to look it up, but I think I wrote it down in my book. I don't know.
Deuteronomy 29, verse 4. 29 and 4. If I'm not mistaken.
Oh yeah, the water. See, that didn't even highlight it. I had to highlight. All right, the water. It says, yet the Lord, it's like in Deuteronomy 29 and 4, all praises. Yet the Lord hath not given you an heart to perceive and eyes to hear and ears to, and it's like an eyes to see and ears to hear unto this day. And eyes to see and ears to hear what? This word. Understand this Bible and the law, right? Here it is. Eve is getting mad at you for saying that polygyny is in the scriptures. A man can have multiple wives. Not saying that men should all the time in all cases, but it's lawful. Now she's getting mad at you. She's the same one that's killing her baby, man. It's hypocritical society, right? But yeah, man, it's crazy. All right, but I just want to touch on a quick point. Is having multiple wives adultery, right? Because that's what people will say it is. It's adultery, right? Now, adultery is different with a man than it is with a woman, right? Since a man can have multiple wives, adultery will be this. Let's go to Leviticus chapter 20 and verse 10. See, it's different with a man than with a woman. Because if a man lies with a woman and then they become together, right? They're one flesh. It's Matthew 10 and 5 on down. They're one flesh. That's his wife, right? He does the duties of marriage, and they understand that, right? Now, if he lies with another woman that is not married, they become one flesh. Now, he has two wives. Is that adultery? Let's see what the scriptures say. All right. Leviticus chapter 20, verse 10. And the man that committeth adultery with another man's wife. So if you lay with a woman, but this woman is already married, that's adultery, right? Even he that committed adultery with his neighbor's wife, the adulterer and the adulteress shall surely be put to death. That's what the Lord said. So it's only adultery if you marry or lay down with a woman that's already married, that already has a husband. I'm going to go to the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 22, to explain it for the woman. All right, and here's the case for the woman. How does a woman commit adultery? All right, Deuteronomy, chapter 22. So, like Deuteronomy, chapter 20. Kind of 22 and 22. If a man be found lying with a woman married to an husband, then they shall both of them die, both the man that lay with the woman and the woman. So, like and the woman, so shalt thou put away evil from Israel. So that's how a woman commit adultery, or can commit adultery. It's by a woman that is already married and she lays down with another man, whether that man is married or not. She just goes and lays with another man. That's what the Lord said, right? That's what the Lord said. So, that's how a woman commits adultery, and that's how a man commits adultery. So, a man having multiple wives is not adultery. So, as long as the woman that he's laying with and marrying are not already married to another man, all right. So that established a kind of covered, all bases. You have anything else, King?
Kind of just get principle not
Done.
classic in John chapter 8. Look at John chapter 8. And I'm gonna start at verse 3, and it reads, and the scribes and Pharisees brought unto him a woman taken in adultery, and when they had set her in the midst. Now, like the brother said, going into, according to the law, a woman committing adultery is when she's married and getting, doing a get down with another man. But it tells you in Hebrews 13, let me get that real quick as well. If it's done lawfully, righteously, there's nothing wrong with that, man. It's righteous in the eyes of the Lord. Hebrews chapter 13 and verse 4. Marriage is honorable in all, in the bed undefiled, but whoremongers and adulterers God will judge. I mean, if you don't believe the Most High God, then look what happened with David. David, he committed adultery, by lying down with another man's wife. And the baby that was conceived, the Lord put that baby to death. And then he had Absalom go into the wife, man, into all the wives of David in front of everybody. So, and David got judged for that. He was really supposed to get stoned to death, but he had to serve mercy to David, So that's in the Bible, But
Hey, that's right, man. That's right. Even when you go to the book of John, chapter 4, verse number 16, it says, Yahushua said unto her, go, call thy husband and come hither. Showing you that Yahushua, he didn't want to, he said this for a particular reason. But Yahushua, we know that Yahushua was righteous. But, when we're talking to a woman that's married, you don't want to have a full-blown conversation with her. Start talking about her deep, darkest secrets. The Lord says, sit not at all with another man's wife, right? So, stuff like that, because you know that the lust start creeping in. But we know that Yahushua was righteous, so, he's not trying to spit game. But he said this for a reason, right? He said, go call thy husband and come hither, right? The woman answered and said, I have no husband. So she's lying. She's lying. Yahushua said unto her, thou hast well said, I have no husband. Here's why, right? For thou hast had 5 husbands. So that's off, right? If you have 5 husbands. Remember, she didn't marry a husband or marry a man and then, damn, he died and then, it didn't say that. It says, for thou hast had 5 husbands, and he whom thou now hast is not thy husband, and that saidest thou truly. You see that? Meaning that she was a whore, man. She was a harlot, laying down with all different types of men. And she's not trying to make them, or she's not trying to be married with them, basically. Not trying to, be a wife unto him. Right? So that's why the Lord, he said that. Showing you that the Lord, he knew that too. All right. But let me get this quick precept in 2 Samuel, right? Just to kind of nail it in the coffin, right? All these precepts, it should already be evidently clear now, right? 2 Samuel chapter 12, verse 7. And Nathan said to David, thou art the man. Thus said the Lord God of Israel, I anointed thee king over Israel, and I delivered thee out of the hand of Saul. And I gave thee thy master's house and thy master's wives into thy bosom. Wives with the S, all right? Multiple wives. The Lord gave David his wives. He didn't obtain it by Satan, man. David didn't go to Satan and say, hey, can I have multiple wives? And then Satan was like, all right, I'll give you multiple wives, but this is what you must give me. If thou will fall down and worship thou me, all shall be thine. Right? And then David, he had to think about it and was like, you know what? I can get down with Satan. And he bowed down unto Satan. And then there's how he got all his fame and his glory and multiple wives. Man. The Lord said, and thy master's wives into thy bosom. He gave it. He gave that to him, man. And gave thee the house of Israel and of Judah. And if that had been too little, meaning if you wanted more wives, what? I would moreover have given unto thee such and such things. If you wanted more wives, I could have just gave it to you, David. But you had to literally lay with another man's wife. That's what the Lord is saying. If you wanted more wives, I could give you more wives, man. That's basically what the Lord was saying. Just like how a father would be saying to his son, if you wanted more, let's say his son or a father's son, he kind of say he stole a bike from another kid at school. He stole another kid's bike, right? Even though he already had 2 bikes already, but his bike was better, so he kind of stole it from him. So he stole it, and guess what? That father, he finds out, he'll be like, "Hey, guess what? If you wanted another bike, I could have gave you another bike, man. You already had 2 bikes, but guess what? I love you so much, right? I care for you, and I want what's best for you. So I could have just gave you another bike if you wanted, but you had to go and steal this other man's bike. Now he doesn't even have a bike anymore. That was his only bike." Kind of going into that parable, you know what I'm saying? That Nathan has said, that same chapter, right? So, but that's literally scripture. The Lord saying that he gave David his wives with the S. So now you're going to say the Lord is damn off for doing that? I try not. All right. So with that, but is there anything else on that? All right, Con. So yeah, Con, all praises. We can bring our closing precepts now.
Con. Yeah, you don't want to people be trying to add to the word or take away from the word, but just both is going off, man. If you do any of those things, the Lord going to take away your name out of the book of life. If you try to add anything to it, man, the Lord going to add all these plagues that are written in the book of life, man. I want to get that real quick. There, right, man. This is the book of Revelation, chapter 22, verse 18, and it reads, "For I testify unto every man that heareth the words of the prophecy of this book, if any man shall add unto these things," by saying, God said you can't marry now, by saying, just adding things to the Bible, man. That's not in there, right? Coming up with false doctrine. You can't have multiple wives. That's off, right?
Right.
It reads, "If any man shall add unto these things, God shall add unto him the plagues that are written in this book. And if any man shall take away from the words of the book of this prophecy, God shall take away his part out of the book of life, and out of the holy city, and from the things which are written in this book. He which testified these things saith, Surely I come quickly. Oh man, even so, come out of one Yahweh Shah." You see that? So all praise to the Most High God, God the King.
And that's right. That's right, man. Lord, he coming swiftly, man. I'm gonna bring this out real quick. With basically all the stuff we've been bringing out, man. All right, let me pull this. Because remember, anything that we talk about in these scriptures, it's profitable, man. Right, and it's good stuff to know. We could be going into prophecy as well, and we will go into prophecy, Lord willing. We will be going into meat sometimes too, man. We have to be touching every base, just like how I said before. If it's in the Bible, Lord willing, we're going to say it all the time, bro. We're going to talk about it. You know, so we have to basically touch every point in every basis at some point in time. You know, but let's go to the book of Proverbs, chapter 4, and verse number 7. Wisdom is the principal thing. So the Lord said wisdom is a principal thing. What we've been saying this the whole time, all these videos is literally wisdom. It's not coming from us, it's coming from the Lord. The Sirach 1:1. All wisdom coming from the Lord and is with him forever. Wisdom is a principal thing, therefore get wisdom. So how are we supposed to get wisdom? By doing these breakdowns, man. We're not just doing these breakdowns, reading, studying, writing down notes just for ourselves. We're doing it for all that seek learning. When learning these precepts so we can teach it, man. Delivering this knowledge from us to you, man. Right? It's not so we can boast and say, "Oh, I'm the smartest Israelite to ever live." That's vainglory. It doesn't matter. All right. What matters is actually getting that knowledge that the Lord gives onto us by his mercy and by his grace and giving it to the people, man, so that they can give it to others. And that's how that knowledge is spread abroad. All right. It says what? Wisdom is a principal thing, therefore get wisdom, and with all thy getting, get understanding. Exalt her, and she shall promote thee. She shall bring thee to honor when thou dost embrace her. So we're trying to embrace wisdom, all right? And that's the good wife right there, all right? That's the good wife, and that's the first love. Brothers harping on, should I get another wife? He already has 3 wives. Should I get another wife? I think I'm going to get another wife, you know, because... yeah, just cuz, right? Hey, man, what about this wife, man? Right? What about this wife? All right, so the Lord said, Revelation 2:4 as well. Nevertheless, I have somewhat against thee. And meaning the Lord is like, hey, you're doing this good, but hey, I have somewhat against thee. Right? That's how the Lord speaks. But it says, nevertheless, I have somewhat against thee, because thou hast left thy first love. Right? So we have to make sure we don't leave our first love, man. Lord willing, man. Right? Because this is that wife that treated us. This is the wife that kind of brought us into this truth and showed us a love that we can never experience with anything else, man. So with that, all praises to Yahweh by Shema Mashah, Malaki Habashah. Lord willing, this is edifying. This is Brother Yasha Ali.
Brother Abai.
Come back to yet another video through the Spirit of Yahweh, Bahashem, Mahashiach, Malaki Habashah, Kwam Yasha Ali. The water for tuning in. Anybody that does, Shalom. Kwam Yasha Ali.